Welcome back to the Running Wine Mom podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Cieslinski, aka the Running Wine Mom. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by my good friend, Kaitlin Nagi, who is not only an incredible educator, but also a passionate advocate for teacher growth and development. Teaching is a career that requires so much more than just showing up in the classroom every day. It's about constant learning, finding balance, and sometimes just trying to keep your head above water. We'll dive deep into what it really takes to support teachers, how they can thrive personally and professionally, and maybe most importantly, how they can avoid burnout in such a demanding role. Whether you're an educator looking for inspiration, a parent curious about what really happens behind the scenes in our schools, or someone who simply wants to learn more about the people shaping our next generation, this episode is for you. So without further ado, Kaitlin, welcome to the show.
Woohoo! Let's do it. Yes.
I'm excited. And Kaitlin was actually one of my administrators in the past and now turned good friend. So I'm excited to have you on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Sam.
Before we get into the nitty gritty, we start each episode with our wine, and win of the week segment. This is where we share our favorite bottle of wine or drink, vent about something that has been bothering us, and celebrate our recent victory. So grab a glass, take a deep breath, and let's get started. So Kaitlin, what is your wine, W-I-N-E, or drink, D-R-I-N-K, of the week?
So I'm a new mom, and Alani New is pink slush, chef's kiss. I mean, when I wake up every morning, you give me an Alani New, I can do anything. So, yeah, that's my drink of the week.
I think I might need to start drinking that because I don't think I've ever had one before.
They're delicious. They're amazing. 200, I think, milligrams of caffeine and just all pure goodness.
Okay, I love it. And what is your WHINE of the week?
Man, it's about balance, like I feel like right now I have a teething 9-month-old who won't sleep. And so we're just like, I asked my mom friends, when's it going to get better? And they said it will, and you're going to forget about this phase. So, I think my shout out this week goes to my beautiful son, Noah, who has just got 7 teeth and is miserable.
Oh my gosh. Poor guy. I know. And it's like, I hate to be the person to say like, yeah, it does get better. I swear, but it does. That's the only way to answer it, I guess. Cause it's like, you're not going to say, oh, he's going to teeth for 1 week and then you'll be good. It's like, eventually he'll be done teething and you'll forget about it.
Totally.
What is your win of the week?
So one of the things that my friends don't know about me is I used to be an extreme couponer.
Ooh.
And I've started getting back into it now that I feel like I need to be on a budget and saving money. And so my win of the week was if you just get on your TikTok or your Instagram and deals of the week like CVS or Walgreens. Well, I've gotten some really good deals this week for, couponing. And one of the things on my TikTok is, saving money and trying to help fellow mothers get diapers for cheaper. And, I think my win of the week this week was paying for like 200 diapers for like $20. It was amazing. Yeah.
Amazing.
Coupons are crazy. So
oh my God,
it's
I
awesome.
love that other one. So I like to ask all of my guests, what is one significant challenge you've successfully navigated shaping your journey to where you are today? And what is an accomplishment you are most proud of in your life?
So I think for me, adversity comes in different shapes and forms, which I feel like in education, you have really great years of teaching, you have great years of being a principal, but it's like, how do you handle those years that are just tough? I was a principal in Camden for 4 years, and I think that like I had some really great years, and then I had some years that really shaped me as a leader. But I remember, I think what got me through those times is like my relationships with teachers and feeling that I'm supporting them, that they'll support me. So I feel like even during the bad times, not even bad times, but like the years that were difficult, just finding moments of hope and reasons why you're doing it. And like, if you love the kids, you love the teachers, you love the atmosphere, but I feel like you really learn about yourself when you're having those years of like burnout and
Mm-hmm.
difficulty. And so I've had some years of like really great um, teaching and learning. But I've also had some years of like personal growth and personal health issues and family issues. And I've made some bold decisions. So I think that it's how you handle those moments of difficulty that you really learn who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally agree with that. I know, as I was just saying to you before, I'm like, if the last 3 days are any um like showing of what my year is going to be, like this could possibly be the best year I've ever had in my entire life, but that's not usually the way that we everybody has good days and bad days.
Yeah,
But there's been years where I've started out the year and I'm like, I don't think I'm going to survive based on,
totally. Yeah,
so I'm like, hopefully this means it's going to be a good year, but I don't know. But you're so right. Those years though, you can't just like have all great years and become the best educator or person. It's taught me a lot about myself, teaching, really.
totally. And I think like we're both college athletes,
Uh-huh.
we both understand the importance of growth and working on your craft and making sure you get better. And I think that like when you stop growing, you stop living, like you stop
Mm-hmm.
becoming the person you want to be. And I feel like you find inspiration. But what I've learned is like life is in seasons. And so like education, like I was telling one of my teachers that I'm very close with, she was like, oh, they switched my placement this year and everything like that. And I said to her, like, the new school year is our Super Bowl. Beginning of a
Mm-hmm.
new school year is a new revelation. It's like New Year's Eve. You feel so good. Like you can start the year fresh and like new ideas, try different things. Um, and I feel like that's the beautiful thing about education is like you always have time to revitalize and get better. And you can step away. I mean, like right now, I left my principal job in May. And I think that because of my family needed me more. And I think that now you kind of learn from those situations and that's just where you're at. So,
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you are doing this with your family, and that's great. You're going to cherish this time for sure.
yeah, totally.
So the Running Wine Mom, we start with a little fitness. What is your favorite way to stay active?
So I now live in Brooklyn, New York, which many of my South Jersey friends know already. And I belong to Lifetime Fitness, which is kind of like the knack of
Mm-hmm.
New York. And so I've been doing this weight loss journey for about a year now and trying to experiment with different things. And one of my most favorite things other than yoga is the bear or bar. I think it's called bar
Oh,
classes,
bar,
the
yeah.
BARRE.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's an instructor at the Lifetime Fitness in the Dumbo in Brooklyn, and she is just like she motivates me. And so I love these classes. I go every Thursday. It's like kind of like me time. And so I'm trying to I'm kind of like you, Sam. I'll try anything.
Yeah.
Like I'll try Pilates, I'll try a different yoga class. I'll try anything just because I think that that's kind of fun. And then I never tried the bar classes and now I'm kind of like hooked on them.
Yeah, they are so fun. I just took one Saturday. I like randomly will like take one and I'm like, oh, these are really hard.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah, totally.
So how do you think maintaining your fitness routine contributes to your mental health?
Well, I mean, I feel m- now being a mom, I think it's so much more important to take care of yourself, take care of your body. Postpartum, whoo, rocked my world. I mean, mental health wise, I don't think there's like, I think medications are really great during postpartum for when you need to get out of your slump and help you get back on the horse. But like physical fitness is what has become the fun,
Hmm.
intriguing, enjoyable way to kind of take care of my mental health. And I think like it's just like, you know, I forgot how much I love working out. Like I forgot how much I love being an athlete and being on the field and you know, I used to be a runner and that's my goal once I drop a little bit more weight is to get back into running. And so um my knees aren't going to like it, but I think I'm going to do a good job.
You'll do
And
a great
but
job
yeah,
with
so I
it.
think it's so important. I mean, like, and I love following like my friends who are doing great things athletically and staying active in the communities that I love, and just mental health, I feel like sports are just,
Yeah.
I think it's made me who I am. So I
Yes.
love that. And I think my mental health has gotten, and postpartum has gotten better with working out. So
And I agree with the postpartum part. Like, medications are great, but movement, I know it's cliche to say movement is medicine, but really
hmm
it's more than you know, just moving. You're moving, you're being a little social, you're feeling more confident about yourself, and it's giving you all of the feelings that you need to feel or that you're lacking, and working with different hormones in your body to help level them out just naturally as well. And, not saying that you can't take medication and work out as well.
yeah,
But it's really important. And especially like you said, being an athlete, it's something like in our blood that you just get that feeling and that rush, and it's like a happiness of like nostalgia feeling, the soreness after 2 days that you comes back randomly. Like after doing
man,
like the like lightest workout, sometimes I'm like, who am I now? Like I
I
don't
know, seriously. Yeah, so
um
I just it's so cool. It's so cool seeing just and like, you get to meet people. I feel like right
mhm.
now I'm trying to create my tribe in New York and I'm trying to figure out like meet moms and meet people who like the same things I do. And so like it's really cool to see the same people going to the same classes and like cheering each other on and the camaraderie you have and just it's like and that's I feel like that's what connected me with so many people like you and a lot of other teachers is just sports and working out just is a huge part of who we are.
I love that. All right, so let's talk about parenthood. Tell us about your
Ooh.
family.
So I am married to the most amazing man. His name is Mustafa Naji. He is the reason for so many things. I mean, I feel like well, first off, he gave me the best gift that anybody's ever given me, which is Noah.
Mhm.
He's gonna be 10 months in 2 weeks. And he is just we have the cutest little family. Like my husband has opened my eyes to like different cultural um things and like he's the biggest support system, he's the biggest cheerleader. And just, I think that, we want to have more kids. We want to keep keep the family going. If I could, I would have 6 kids, but I don't think my clock's kind of ticking right now. But we have the cutest little family, and it's just like we're having so much fun. Parenthood is fun. Like I
It
mean,
is.
like I thought life was boring before, but like now I don't even have time to think about the boring bits. But yeah,
You don't have
it's just
time to be
fun.
bored for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. So,
What do you think you were least prepared for in parenthood?
oh man, I think it's funny because like when I was a full-time principal during my pregnancy, and I think the hardest thing was people was like, "Oh, make sure you're getting your sleep." And one of the things that I dealt with during pregnancy and postpartum and still dealing with is insomnia.
Hmm.
It's one of those uncommon situations, and sometimes insomnia can be good when the baby's up and you can't sleep. But insomnia also doesn't prepare you for the next day where you're so tired and you have to take care of a little one. And so it's one of those postpartum symptoms that and pregnancy symptoms that people really didn't talk about and I didn't really know about. But working full time, having insomnia, trying to figure out how to balance between taking care of my family and taking care of myself. And that's where like the working out kind of helps because I think that that's kind of helps with my mood. It helps with sleep, and but I definitely wasn't prepared for some of like the little symptoms that people didn't talk like people don't talk about it,
Hmm.
and so yeah, so I think that that's something I wasn't prepared for.
Yes. Um, that I totally agree with all of that. When I was pregnant with Willow, it was COVID 2020, so I didn't really have to work I mean, it wasn't like, I mean, it
Yeah,
was, but like not really. And then when I had Parker, I was like, wait, what? I have to work and I have to take care of a toddler and I have to get sleep and I have to function. Like, what is even happening in this? I don't,
yeah.
So what do you think your parenting style is?
Oh wow. Parenting style. Um, I think I'm a chaos manager. Like, I feel
Love
like that was
that.
my style as a teacher. And I am literally like, I thrive in chaos. Like, I'll send you the picture of Noah. I gave him yogurt and like, I'm trying to like have him start like feeding himself and taking care of himself. Well, it's just yogurts everywhere. And, the kitchen's a mess. But like, I feel like that's one thing that I balance with my husband is the fact that I thrive in the chaos and he thrives in structure and routines.
Hmm.
So he provides the routines. I provide the stability when things are going wrong. And I feel like that's the balance we've kind of created in our relationship, which is kind of like a beautiful thing.
Oh.
And so, but I feel like as a teacher, like everybody is a chaos manager. Like when something goes wrong, you know exactly what to do and you're like, stay calm, no worries. And, I feel like that's gonna help me through parenthood, but like, I also don't overreact. Like, I think that that's one of the things as a teacher and as a principal, I've learned to not overreact about things unless I have to. And so, like, my husband, like, Noah's starting to stand. Well, he falls over. Oh no, Noah, he's crying. And I'm like, dude, he's fine. He's fine.
Hmm.
He's
Hmm.
gonna fall. And so I hope that I, it's so cool seeing him learn different things and grow and realize different stuff. And I just feel like I want him to just like with your kids, like the experiences. Like I want Noah to experience things and, um, be just a kind and empathetic person. I don't care if he's smart. I want
Hmm.
him to be smart, but if he's not, it's okay. Um, but I also want him to, just experience the world in a different way. So,
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And he will. He definitely will. The chaos thing is so crazy because I can totally relate to that with being a teacher. You're just always like, it's going to be chaotic and we're just going to figure it out.
yeah, yeah.
What's one piece of advice that you would give other parents?
You don't have to tell people everything. I think that that's what I've realized is the fact that, you know, you don't have to tell people how you parent. You don't have to tell people about your decisions, um, because they always want to step in and give advice or intervene. And, it's sometimes not even worth it. Just, I feel like, um, you can keep things private and you can make your decisions, and as long as you're communicating with your partner and you're on the same page with your partner, then I feel like you're going to do your best. But I've learned that like sometimes, people want to parent your kids and they're not your kids. Like I
Hmm.
feel like and as much as like I've learned also like I rather, go to my really close friends who I trust to ask for advice than to people who, are going to be judgmental about it, because I feel like people are always judging you, the internet's judging you. And so like it's okay to just not tell people how you're parenting your children and continue to just be um the best version of yourself for your child. I think that that's it.
That's great advice. All right, so let's get into the teaching world. We're going to start with some
Oh,
teacher development and support. So why don't you tell everyone like what inspired you to get into education and how has your vision of education kind of evolved since you started?
yeah. So I, when I was in high school, I loved school. I was always the straight A honor student. And I always knew that I wanted to go to college, and I always knew I wanted to play sports in college. I knew I was going to play field hockey. Even though I was also very good at basketball, I decided I was going to go play field hockey in college. And I knew that I wanted to study either like mathematics or history or something like that I was passionate about. And so I went to college and I played field hockey division 2, and it was a great experience. I also, when I went there, I was debating on going pre-law or education. And once I started playing sports and I started working in the community with local sports teams, I knew I wanted to coach. And I knew if I wanted to do that, I had to become a teacher. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go teach. And um, I came home. I went to school in Western Pennsylvania, and then I decided to come home I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm from Bucks County, Pennsylvania. And so I came home, got a job in Philly, and eventually moved to Jersey and started working with Sam and great people in Jersey. And I just think that what really thrived for me was like I wanted to be a coach and I wanted to coach high school sports because I know how much of an impact. I had so many amazing coaches, but then I also had some coaches that really um, impacted me in a negative way, and I didn't want that for my players. And I was really had the great opportunity while I was teaching in Philly, and then once teaching in Jersey, I was able to coach at the my alma mater, and I coached there for 10 years, and it was probably I looked forward to coaching so much, and so I think that that's when I think of teaching and building and supporting students is just through sports and education. And I know that like people have these cliches like, oh, they want to help people and they want to change the world. Well, I wanted to coach sports and I wanted to be active in the community and do stuff I love and things I was passionate about. Um, so yeah, it's just that was kind of
Yeah.
a quick little overview.
Awesome. And so, what do you think are the most critical skills new teachers need to kind of develop during the first few years in the classroom? Because it can be very intimidating. And I feel like those first couple years, you have to develop certain skills to get you through to be a good teacher a veteran teacher, I guess.
Yeah. So I think a couple things that I always tell teachers is get to know your students. Like get to know your students as much as possible and build relationships with them because I remember my first observation in Philly. My classroom management was excellent. Like I worked on in the alternative section of the school, and so I worked with some of the students who couldn't really make it in a general ed setting, so they were put in the alternative setting. And so classroom management was key, and I only focused on classroom management. I didn't really focus on the instructional stuff. And even though I was teaching instruction, it wasn't the most important thing. It was more important for them to be thriving behaviorally in the classroom. And so my principal at the time did my observation, and he said to me, Kaitlin, students don't learn from people they don't like, and your students don't like you. And I was like, oh, what? Me? Me? You don't like me? And he's like, do they know you? Do they know you coach sports? Do they know you love basketball and that you like love music and that you grew up in the community and that like all these great things? He's like, they don't even know you. Like you're so structured and so like militant. And he's like, I want you to spend the next month just getting to know your students and making a memorable experience for them. And so like ever since that happened, I've turned my thoughts on classroom management into like relationship building and really like getting to know the ins and outs of your students and really like understanding who they are as people. And so I think that the second thing that people need to, other than building relationships, is routines, creating structures, routines in the classroom so that, you know, students have the predictability of what's next in the class. If you have the bare basics of structure and you have the relationships, you know, then students are willing to be vulnerable in the classroom and willing to take risks and willing to listen to you when things go wrong, things are good. And so I feel like for a new teacher, you know, and then the last thing I have to say is like taking care of yourself because like kids pick up on when things are wrong, when you're not right, when, you know, when you're maybe not the best version of yourself. So like self-care and showing up for your students is key because that's half the battle in education. I hate to say it, is just showing
Mhm.
up and being present for students to help them grow and being consistent.
Yeah, I love that. And I don't know, I'm sure you probably remember Mr. Forrest. He was like retired, but a substitute. And
Yeah.
yeah, he like came back to sub after and he gave a really similar piece of advice. He's like, if you're ever having a student that you don't get along with, find out what they love to do and go get like do that. Like if they play soccer, go to their soccer game. If they like a
Yeah.
certain, musician, get that, listen to it, and then you can have something relatable to them. So, I think it's like great that your principal, or whoever was observing you said that to you, because I think that is something tough to say to like people,
Hmm.
and not something that is like people want to hear. Like, you don't want to hear that, and your strategies and structure were probably amazing, and
Yeah.
but that piece of advice is very important in, especially, the older kids, that's all they want, and that's all that they really want, is the connection, which is something that they need, and then you can go from there.
Yeah. I feel like, uh, one of the, I always struggled with teachers, especially as a principal, due dates, being on time. And so, like, I challenge teachers that have these strict rules, I want to say, because, like, what I've learned is, like, teachers want principals who are empathetic, caring, supportive. But when the teachers don't turnkey that to their students, there can be a huge disparity in like what we're trying to achieve. So like I'm a huge believer in second chances. I believe in that second chances are key, having conversations with kids, but also supporting the teacher and supporting the student is so crucial. And I think that like I've learned I've been the principal that has been a disciplinarian where you're feared by everybody and you're not liked and it's not enjoyable. It's not long lasting. It's not the best mental health savvy situation for me, or at least, and I'll keep it on an eye. But at the same time, like I but I've also learned that like it's not always about being liked, it's always about being respected, and having mutual respect for you and the students is totally what is needed to have a healthy, manageable relationship, because you can agree to disagree in certain
Hmm.
situations. Um, so I think that like for new teachers, and then the one thing I didn't say, which I think what made my time in Jersey as a teacher and as like um as a teacher is my tribe. Like I've met the most amazing people that I still talk to, even though I left the district, even though I've been gone out of Jersey as a teacher since 2017. But I still
Wow.
talk to people. I still, we're still going to each other's baby showers. And,
Yeah.
so as a teacher, find your tribe that so when things are difficult, you have somebody to support you.
And yeah, the tribe is so important. It is just something that I would not be surviving as a teacher. And I, before I landed at Burlington City, I had a few positions, and one of the positions that I had in Norristown was like a really
Mhm.
difficult school. But I loved the staff that I worked with. Like, they were just like really awesome people. And that like clicked to me that it does not matter. They could be the best district in the world, or they could be the worst. But if you have the people that are your people, you're going to be able to at least survive, because you're like always going to have
Yeah.
bad days, but you want those people to be supporting you in those bad times. So I love that. That's great advice.
Yeah, it's actually funny because I there was a TikTok and it's like this new thing called trauma bonding, which I think is
Oh,
like an interesting thing to like kind of talk about, but like it's like your work friends and you don't realize that like from working in education, working with the craziness that you do, that you're really trauma bonding with these people and they become lifetime friends with each other because of the fact that like you support each other through some of the most difficult times. And so I think that like I just I wouldn't change anything because I've been through some really difficult times and I some of the closest people to me are the people that are rooting for me to be successful no matter what happens, no matter where I go, whether
mhm.
I stay in Jersey, stay in New York. Um And so it's just like, but when I saw that TikTok, I was like, dude, I can name so many people that I've like trauma bonded with over the craziness of education. Oh man,
That like
crazy.
nobody else would even understand. Like, that's what Steph and I are always like, we're soul sisters, because like literally are like, nobody else would survive this. I mean, you would, but there's just this weird bond that we have because of all of the terrible things that have happened in our teaching career,
Yeah.
But it makes it better, I guess. So looking at like from an administrative standpoint, teachers, we go to school, we've been in school our whole lives, then we learn to go to school to teach people to go to school. But then some people kind of just stop. Like if they don't go for their masters or they don't participate in professional development, what do you think that, what advice would you give to schools trying to create maybe a culture of ongoing learning and support for their teachers? How would you implement that? Or what suggestions
So
would
I
you
think
have for?
Well, that's a great question. So I think one of the things that my focus on this past year as a interim principal in New York was to really focus on how do you retain your best teachers. And so I started thinking about ways, whether it was through professional development or sending them to professional development, because you always think about, oh, your teachers that need the most help are getting the most time and support from your administration. But those people who are your top notch, top performing, best people who you want to stay in the district, who are performing above and beyond. And so, like, really focusing not only on support systems for your lower tier teachers, but your high teachers who have been there 14, 15, 25 years, who need that revitalization. And one of the things that I really realized was just like creating plans that are actually visible and real. Because like in New Jersey, like every year, even I had to do it. I had to do my PIP or whatever. I don't, it's
Yeah,
not a PIP, but
that's what it
whatever
was.
the,
It's what it was called, I
yeah,
feel like, at once.
yeah.
Professional.
So like, and
I don't know.
so like
Yeah.
creating goals for yourself, like for self-care and like creating things that are like opportunities for teachers to go out of district and learn things, go to conferences, find their passion again, because I feel like that's where a lot of teachers get this burnout is because they need ideas, they
Hmm.
need revitalization. So I think that, and then I think the other thing is that I've learned as a principal is like, I'm not making the decisions. I truly believe that like teachers should help in the decision making of the building and how be part of the leadership concepts and having those committees where teachers feel valued and that their opinions are appreciated makes a difference in the building. So, but creating a culture, what I've tried to create in buildings that I have been leaders in is cultures around feedback. So like teachers are open to feedback, but I as the administration and all administrators, whether supervisors, coaches, instructional leaders, are open to feedback so that it creates honest conversations, courageous conversations, because I feel like a lot of the times when you're doing evaluations or certain things that maybe can be a little contentious, if you don't create those opportunities where feedback for you and feedback for them is acceptable, then teachers are less willing to grow and less willing to take the feedback if it's not a open conversation.
Hmm.
So I think that there's certain things that you can do, but I know with a lot of my friends who have been in districts for 20, 15 years, they want to learn, they want to do better, they want to, keep continuing to be a great teacher. But sometimes if they're not inspired by leadership to do so, they kind of burn out and go doing other jobs or
Hmm.
finding other career paths. And, I think right now it's all what we're trying to do in the state of New Jersey and what Governor Murphy has talked about is retaining good teachers because that's what we need right now. We need the people who are willing to come in every day and do a great job. But I feel like without leadership in the building and constant conversations about feedback and leadership opportunities, then, teachers feel less valued. And, that's where support systems come in place and that it's a top down effect.
Yeah. So if you could design your perfect teacher support system, what would it look like?
So I feel like it's all about planning. Like when I came into the interim position, I was talking to the union leaders and like they told me culture is bad. Culture, like teachers don't feel valued. Teachers don't feel, teachers are calling out a lot. Teachers, there's been a consistent turnover in teachers and administration. And so I feel like I try to plan as many, so I think like there's a lot of different things that I've done, like building relationships with your staff is key, and trying to, really create support systems where you have a professional development plan where each teacher is receiving some type of individualized professional development every year that can make a difference in their pedagogy, bringing outside providers, bringing inside providers, providing leadership opportunities for teachers to turnkey professional development. But I feel like support just comes from being visible, being real, being empathetic. I feel like when it comes to support systems, what I've tried to do is like, and what I will always be is family first. Like your family comes first, your outside life is much more important. Like, do not sacrifice time at your job for when you're, a child's sick or something. There has to be value, and like if people feel like you value them as a person and as a family member, then they're much more willing to work with you.
Yeah.
I feel like as a natural Cancer, I am empathetic, and I'm an empath till the day I die, and I feel that I want to feel connected to people. And so when it comes to support systems, really taking the time and the energy to get to know people. And, I feel like that was the beauty of Burlington City, because like we all, over the 7 years I was there, like we got to know each other. We got to see people do milestones and get married and have babies. And, and we just supported each other through it. So, and to be quite honest, like, I feel like that's where kind of carved me as a leader to really be more supportive for people and be there to support people. Even there's so many different things you can do, but it goes beyond the potlucks and the spirit weeks. So
Yeah. Well, I want to talk next about a little work-life balance, because a lot of times in the teaching world, it's hard to shut things off. And especially post-COVID, where, during COVID, it was kind of a wild time in the regards to people are kids are sending emails at 11 p.m. and like some teachers are checking them at 11 p.m. And I
yeah,
felt like once we kind of got back to the norm, it was just like, okay, our emails are still attached. Like we're still thinking about work when we leave. But what advice would you give to maintain a healthy work-life balance while juggling, all of the things that you don't have time for, lesson planning, grading, and then personal time?
yeah. So being present when you leave work is so hard. Being a parent, being a principal, and being pregnant was one of the most difficult things that I've ever had to do, because I literally had the most difficult pregnancy, and I felt like I was stressed all the time, and I was coming home burnout, going to bed at 6 o'clock. And I kind of, I think it was like my fifth month or 6 month mark, I kind of said to myself, like, you can't do this anymore. Like you are not taking care of yourself. You are going bending over backwards to just like prove that you are working hard, where everybody knows you're working hard. You don't have to, answer emails at 7 o'clock at night and be totally available. So I think that, um, creating work-life balance is something that you learn over time. Work-life balance your first year of teaching doesn't look like work-life balance your 15th year of
No.
teaching, So like, but I feel like as teachers and as principals, what I've kind of learned is like hobbies are crucial. Like having something that you can turn off your phone, not lesson plan, not worry about it, whether it's reading, yoga, Netflix, do have something that you can turn off that piece of you and enjoy a hobby, enjoy something other than the craziness of work, because if not, you're going to burn out. And that's the pureness of it all. And I've been there and I've burned out. And, but I think that like hobbies and, and also like Um, One thing that I think I really admire about you, Sam, is the fact that like you'll try new things, go new places.
Thank
And
you.
so like that's what I've learned as like a mom and as over the past couple years is like I took the big leap in leaving South Jersey and moving to Brooklyn and starting my life over again. And so I think that now I'm even more intrigued to try new things and go to new museums and see what's going on in New York City and enjoy Brooklyn. And so I think that like be adventurous, be a risk taker, and just take care of it. Take care of yourself. And then the last thing is like I as teachers we can't drink water during the day because you have to go to the bathroom. So like when you're at night, make sure you're drinking enough water, getting enough sleep, taking care of your body, doing something, and just, really taking care of yourself because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of other people. So,
Yeah, so true. It really is. And it's funny that you said like your year one work-life balance is very different than year 15. And it really is. Like I think it took me until year like 10 to really have boundaries of when I leave, I will check my email tomorrow morning and then we'll
yeah.
started with the day there. Because it was uh some administrators would send emails at like 2 a.m. and I would get up in the middle of the night and I would just automatically check my email and then I'd be stressed and not be able to go back to sleep. So it's like I had to cut
Yeah.
completely off. Um, have you ever felt guilty over taking time for yourself or your family? And if so, like how do you manage that guilt?
I think I don't know what's worse, mom guilt or teacher
Hmm.
guilt,
Hmm.
because they're both like definitely hard. And I don't think unless you're a teacher, you don't understand what teach teacher guilt is, and if you're not a mom, you don't know what it is. But I think like my teacher guilt has gotten better being a mom, and my mom guilt will always be there.
Hmm.
But I think the beautiful thing is like being a mom has taught me more about just being an educator. I feel
Hmm.
like that's the one beautiful thing that I think that I was missing in my life. And I knew I always wanted children. And now it's kind of like I feel like I can be a better teacher, a better principal, a better educator through being a mom because I see things differently now.
Definitely. And it
So,
is so true with that. Like, you don't want to say, if you don't have kids, you'll never understand. Again, like the cliche thing, but it's like you do
yeah.
enter this whole other world that I didn't even know existed when I became, a mom. Oh my gosh, all right. You gave us so much information. Is there anything maybe that we haven't covered? Or insights that you'd like to provide before we kind of wrap it up because
Oh.
you gave us so much wonderful advice.
Yeah. I guess the biggest thing is like if I could tell anybody, I always so when I was working in Burlington City, I thought I was going to work in Burlington City the rest of my life. I never thought I would leave Burlington City. And so like, I feel different things have happened in my life, good, bad, indifferent. Um, but I've always taken a risk on me and I've always understood my value. So I would encourage people to understand and value and know their worth before investing in investing in what other people think about them. Um, because I feel I've had so many great opportunities in this lifetime, um, because I took a chance on me and I didn't take and I wasn't worried about, being complacent or worrying about that job or worrying about, what people would think. I just, you know, really invested in my happiness. So I feel like as much as teaching and loyalty is important, I also think that like you don't ever underestimate like your value because if somebody doesn't appreciate you, somebody will. And so, um, yeah, I'll leave it at that.
That is great advice. And that is I'm sure so many teachers do need to hear that as well because it is hard. Like once you're tenured and you're there,
Hmm.
like it's scary if you want to move somewhere or, if you want to change districts. But like you just said, investing in yourself is super important. And I do admire that about you. Like you are a very big risk taker and like not just like going for it. And I'm like, I wish I could do that in, a lot of ways, but I am like too much of just like I'm here, I'll be here, and but I love that you have built those opportunities for yourself, because I think a lot more people should really listen to that advice.
Yeah.
But
I mean, tenure is not the end all be
I
all,
know.
like it's great,
Yeah.
it's great, but at the same time, like teachers are on demand,
Hmm.
I mean, like the thing is like, it's crazy right now, there's such a need for teachers and, or, I mean, I hate to say it, if you have an aspiration to do something, whether you want to be TikTok famous or you want to, have your own podcast, just, I think that like, um, oh, we talked about this before, and the last thing I'm going to say is manifestation. Oh, manifest it. If you
Yes.
want something, manifest it, and like, even if not the plan that's going to happen, something will happen, and you know, it's just I feel like, you manifest things in life, and you're like, why do things happen? And it's just it's awesome.
Yes, I could have a whole another podcast about that because my manifesting, I love that. But all right, that's going to bring us to the end of another episode of The Running Wine Mom. What an incredible conversation. Kaitlin, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your stories, and some truly valuable insights on how teachers can really continue to grow, find balance, and stay inspired in the ever-changing profession. I know so many of our listeners, whether they're educators or not, will really take away some great advice from what you shared today. To all the teachers out there, thank you for everything you do. Your work is powerful. And it's clear from talking with Kaitlin that it's not just about teaching lessons, it's about shaping lives. And as always, if you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it. You can follow me on Instagram at @therunningwinemom_. And Kaitlin, where can the listeners find you?
I don't even know my TikTok. I'll send it to you.
Okay, I'll link your TikTok. Yes. And all right. So thank you, Kaitlin, for coming on. So fun. Thank you for joining me today. Remember, you are strong, you are capable, and you are all amazing. Until next time, keep running, keep sipping, and keep embracing the joy of motherhood. Cheers, and I will be back next Tuesday.